Nicole Kidman just broke down on camera. And what she said about Keith Urban shocked everyone. After nearly 20 years of marriage, the Hollywood power couple that seemed unbreakable is finally revealing the truth behind closed doors. So, what really pushed Nicole Kidman to tears? What secret pain has she been hiding all these years? And how did Keith Urban become the man who changed everything for her? Before we get into the emotional moment that's got everyone talking, we need to understand the foundation of their relationship. Because the truth is, Nicole and Keith's love story isn't quite the fairy tale we've been sold. Let's rewind to 2005. Nicole Kidman had just gone through one of the most public divorces in Hollywood history with Tom Cruise. The media was relentless. Every move she made was scrutinized. Every interview had questions about Tom. She was emotionally exhausted and, by her own admission, pretty broken. Enter Keith Urban, a rising country music star from Australia. They met at an event called G'day LA, which celebrates Australians in America. And here's something interesting. Nicole has said that she didn't even know who Keith was at first. Can you imagine? This massively successful country singer, and Nicole had no clue. But there was something about him. She's described feeling an immediate connection, something she couldn't quite explain. Keith, on the other hand, was completely starstruck. He admitted later that he was too nervous to even ask for her phone number that night. 4 months passed before they saw each other again. 4 months! And during that time, Nicole thought about him constantly. She said in interviews that she kept wondering why he hadn't called. Finally, she tracked him down and basically said, "What's the deal?" "I thought we had something." And Keith? He confessed he'd been too intimidated to reach out. He thought she was out of his league. So they started dating in 2005, and just 1 year later, in June 2006, they got married in a beautiful ceremony in Sydney, Australia. It seemed fast to outsiders, but both of them have said that when you know, you know. Now, here's where things get interesting, because from the outside, it looked perfect. But what we didn't know at the time was that Keith was struggling with addiction. Just 4 months after their wedding, in October 2006, Nicole made one of the hardest decisions of her life. She staged an intervention and got Keith into rehab. Nicole has been very private about this time, but Keith has opened up about it over the years. He said that Nicole saved his life. That, without her intervention, he doesn't know if he'd still be here today. He went to rehab for 3 months, and during that time, Nicole stood by him. She didn't run, she didn't leak stories to the press, she didn't do what a lot of Hollywood spouses do and protect her own image first. She protected him. She protected their marriage. Keith came out of rehab in January 2007, and he's been sober ever since. That's over 17 years now, and he credits Nicole for that. He said in countless interviews that she gave him a reason to fight, a reason to get better, a reason to choose life. But here's what we're only learning now. The toll that took on Nicole. Because while Keith was healing, Nicole was holding everything together. And apparently she's been holding it together ever since. So what does Nicole mean when she says, "I can't pretend anymore"? To understand that, we need to look at what she's been pretending about. And it's not what you might think. This isn't about their marriage being in trouble, it's actually about the opposite. For years, Nicole has downplayed the intensity of their relationship. She's downplayed how much she depends on Keith. She's downplayed how scared she was during those early years. She's presented this image of the strong, independent woman who has it all under control. And why? Because that's what Hollywood expects from her. That's what the world expects from Nicole Kidman. Think about it. She's built a career on being poised, elegant, and in control. She's the woman who can play any role, handle any situation. She's been through public divorces, media storms, and intense movie roles, and she always comes out looking composed. But behind closed doors, she's been terrified. In recent interviews, Nicole has started opening up in ways she never has before. She's talked about how the early years of her marriage to Keith were filled with fear. Fear that he might relapse. Fear that she might lose him. Fear that she wasn't strong enough to be what he needed. She's also talked about how much she actually needs Keith. And this is huge because Nicole Kidman is admitting she needs someone. That's not the narrative she's been selling for decades. So let's talk about the moment everyone's discussing, the breakdown, the quote, "I can't pretend anymore." This happened during a recent interview where Nicole was promoting one of her projects. The interviewer asked her about balancing her career with her marriage, a question she's answered 1,000 times before. Usually she gives a polished answer about making time for what matters, about communication, about being lucky to have found Keith, but this time, something shifted. Nicole's eyes filled with tears, her voice cracked, and she said something that nobody expected. She said, "You know what? I can't pretend anymore. I can't keep acting like it's easy. I can't keep acting like I'm this strong person who has it all figured out. The truth is, there are days when I'm terrified. There are days when I don't know how to balance it all. And there are days when I feel like I'm failing at everything." She went on to talk about Keith, and this is where it gets really emotional. She said, "Keith saved my life, but what I've never said publicly is that I save his too. Every single day, and he saves mine. Every single day, and that's exhausting. But it's also the most real thing I've ever experienced." She talked about how the pressure to maintain this perfect image has been crushing. She talked about how she's been so afraid to show vulnerability because she thought it would make her seem weak. She talked about how she's been protecting Keith's privacy and their relationship to the point where she's been hiding her own truth. Now, some media outlets are spinning this as trouble in paradise. They're saying Nicole's breakdown means the marriage is falling apart. But that's not what's happening here at all. What Nicole is actually doing is something incredibly brave. She's dropping the mask. She's showing us the real cost of Hollywood perfection. She's admitting that even the most seemingly perfect relationships require work, sacrifice, fear, and constant effort. She's also challenging the narrative that strong women don't need anyone. Because here's Nicole Kidman, Oscar winner, Hollywood icon, one of the most successful actresses of her generation, saying, "I need my husband. I need him desperately. And that doesn't make me weak, it makes me human." And sources close to the couple say that Keith has been Nicole's rock through all of this. He encouraged her to speak her truth, that he's been telling her for years that she doesn't have to be perfect for the world. Let's dig even deeper here, because there's more to this story than just one emotional interview. Over the past few years, if you've been paying attention, Nicole has been slowly revealing more and more about her private life. She's talked about her miscarriage during her marriage to Tom Cruise. She's talked about her struggles with fertility. She's talked about adopting her children and how that journey wasn't always easy. She's also been more open about her own childhood and the pressure she felt to be perfect from a very young age. Nicole grew up with parents who had high expectations. She became an actress young and had to grow up fast in an industry that doesn't forgive mistakes. All of this has created a woman who spent her entire life performing. Not just on screen, but in real life too. Always knowing what to say, how to pose, how to present herself. Always being Nicole Kidman, rather than just Nicole. With Keith, she found someone who loved her for who she actually is. Someone who saw past the movie star to the real person underneath. And that's terrifying, right? Because when someone sees the real you, all your flaws and fears and insecurities, there's nowhere to hide. Nicole has said that Keith knows her better than anyone. He knows when she's pretending to be okay. He knows when she's scared. He knows when the smile on the red carpet is real, and when it's just for the cameras. And having someone know you that well is both the most comforting and most vulnerable position you can be in. Here's something else we need to talk about. Hollywood has a long history of presenting perfect couples to the world, only for us to find out years later that behind the scenes, things were falling apart. We've seen it over and over. Brad and Angelina, Ben and Jennifer, Will and Jada, couples who looked perfect in public but were struggling privately. So when a couple like Nicole and Keith comes along, we're almost waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're waiting for the scandal. We're waiting for the split. Because that's what Hollywood has taught us to expect. But Nicole's breakdown isn't the beginning of the end. It's actually the opposite. It's her saying, we're real. We're not perfect. And we're not going to pretend anymore. She's essentially calling out the entire Hollywood system that demands perfection. That demands celebrities maintain this facade of having it all together. That punishes vulnerability and rewards performance. By breaking down and being honest, Nicole is doing something radical. She's showing that you can be successful and scared. You can be strong and need help. You can be a Hollywood icon and still be a regular person dealing with regular fears and challenges. Now, the public reaction to Nicole's breakdown has been fascinating. On social media, it's been overwhelmingly supportive. People are praising her for her honesty. They're saying things like, "Finally, a celebrity being real," and "This is what we need more of in Hollywood." But there's also been some criticism. Some people are saying she's oversharing. Some are saying that celebrities should keep their private lives private. Some are even suggesting that this is all a publicity stunt. Zooming out, what Nicole is doing is part of a bigger shift we're seeing in Hollywood. More and more celebrities are getting real about their struggles. Mental health is being discussed openly. Addiction is being addressed honestly. The perfect facade is cracking, and we're seeing the humans underneath. And you know what? We're better for it. Because when celebrities we admire show us their struggles, it gives us permission to acknowledge our own. When Nicole Kidman, this seemingly perfect actress, says, "I'm scared and messy and I need help," it tells every woman watching that it's okay for them to be scared and messy and need help too. That's powerful. That's important. That's why Nicole's breakdown matters. It's not just gossip. It's not just drama. It's a moment of genuine human connection in an industry that often lacks it. So what's next for Nicole and Keith? Where do they go from here? Well, according to sources close to them, they're actually in a really good place. Ironically, Nicole's breakdown and honesty have brought them even closer together. They're reportedly more united than ever, more committed to each other than ever. Nicole has several projects coming up, and Keith is working on new music. But they're also reportedly making more time for each other and their family. They're being more intentional about not letting work consume their lives. Nicole has said in recent interviews that she's learning to say no more often. She's learning that she doesn't have to do every project. She doesn't have to be everywhere. She can prioritize her family and her own well-being. And Keith continues to be sober, continues to be present, continues to be the partner Nicole needs. He's also been vocal about how proud he is of Nicole for speaking her truth. Together, they're rewriting the rules of what a Hollywood power couple looks like. They're showing that you can be successful and vulnerable, you can be famous and real, you can be powerful and need help. What do you think? Do you respect Nicole for being this honest? Or do you think celebrities should keep their private lives private? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video.